Hi everyone. India has been waiting for this moment for a very long time, and it's finally here. A historic free trade agreement with Union is almost ready. It could be a game changer for Indian economy and future forever. But what does it mean for you, me, and India, and for the global trade? Let's dive in. Let me share my screen and we can get started. So, first, why it is a big deal? The India and US जो trade agreement करने वाले हैं in very near future. Why it is a big deal? The European Union isn't just a trading partner. We have to understand this. It's a bloc of 27 countries, collectively one of the largest markets in the world. And if India gets a preferential access to these markets, it's going to be the golden opportunity. Overlaying the, you can say, current trade with mix of, you can say, preferential access, it's going to be a huge market access. India is currently consumption based, you can say, economy, but if we want to become a developed nation and want to have a stake in the global exports, this is one of those opportunities which India needs to tap, and it's totally, you can say, onto the us. When I say us, between US, sorry, Europe and India, to capitalize on this, because it's a win-win situation at the both ends. Now now if we would dig, if you get into more into the details, uh, Brussels aims to seal the deal with India by late January instead of end of this year, which was initially targeted. And it's as per the Trade Commission, and we have taken this article from the Politico. So that is the reference of this conversation. The the plan is that most probably the second week, which is going to be around 26, 27, that is where you can say this deal would be commensurated. Piyush Goyal has been forthcoming for this, and the common determination, and what Piyush Goyal has said, and the trade representative has said, there is a common determination that we should do our utmost to get to the free trade agreement and use the every possible day until that national day is come, which is like 26 January. That would be something very prestigious day for India, and maybe a lot of things would be happening that time. The announcement could be made on that day, or it can be made the very next day when the final declaration and everything will happen. So that is how I see that this is going to play out. Now, from the perspective of details, let's talk some numbers here. India Europe trade today is around 136 billion, not as big as 250 billion or near to that of US or China, but it is one of the formidable trades. You can say trade numbers that we as an Indian have to consider. Uh, you have to see from the paradigm as well. Europe China trade as of now is clocking around 800 billion, which is seven times bigger than India. And Europe has been making a lot of noise because they are deficit around 467 billion, which is a number which hurts Europe a lot. You have to see the entire dynamics. European economies are mostly taking a hit because of the war, because of you can say change in the structure that globe use the global trade used to happen. China has been very assertive in certain areas, which has created some ripples, and we can discuss that into a different conversation. But right now, Europe is trying to hedge the Chinese, you can say, deficit with some other countries, and India can be a formidable partner there. Now, imagine this: if India captures 25% of the deficit, which is around 100 billion of new trade, at the 50%, or we would be around, you can say, 250 billion. You can say having 250 billion trade volume between in India and Europe. This can be a very big boost for Indian economy. It would be just doubling it up and de-risking from the American pressures to a certain extent. Yes, they Americans have a lot of you can say um, a lot of say in the European structures, but Europeans call them autonomous, whatever you want to call them. It's one part of the one bigger block. But the way Donald Trump has been, you can say, reacting with India, this can be one area where we can ease our pressure. Now, overlay this with the Indian growth, which has happened in the quarter two, which is around 8.2%, ex- and India has an export target of a 2 trillion. So this fits in exactly to the whole grand strategy, and India is already exporting in a very competitive manner. And this export is around 21% of our GDP when it comes to the exports. Compare that with the China, it is 19.7. Based on our absolute volumes, this number seems to be very small comparative to the China, but from the our economy scale perspective, these numbers will make higher impact. Now, strategically, if I put things together, there isn't just about this isn't just about the trade. You have to see it in a bigger context. It's about geopolitics. It's about Europe and China relationships. Relationship is deteriorating, and the EU needs an alternative. You see it in a grand plan perspective. That is what it's coming out. India is stepping up at India stepping up to this moment and having a modern FTA template where Europe can have, you can say, uh, breath of ease because they won't have the huge delta of deficit with India. They can work out something which can be mutually beneficial and securing the interest and avoiding the mistakes that they have done and creating a trade deficit, for example, with ASEAN, with Japan, with China, and all that stuff. Plus, India already signed a new style FTA with EFTA with the countries like Norway, Iceland, Liechtenstein, and Switzerland, where the market access was linked to investments. Now, with Europe or EU, and even the talks with the Russia, India is building you can say, powerful trade network across the European belt. The Russian President Vladimir Putin was in India. He also signed a lot of, you can say, uh, economic oriented MOAs and MSAs, and not MSAs, MOAs and pacts, which can yield into a lot of deals, which, if I can put it in a Trump's manner, into the foray. But at the end of a day, it's all about having the trade in place, the building blocks in the place, and having the design principles agreed and aligned. So I think India is marching really strong in the European belt, whether it is Europe, whether it is Russia. Now, what is next? What is the next step? Where are we? So, mark your calendars around. 26, 27 January could be the historic day for Indian economy. If this deal goes through, Indian goods could enter Europe duty free, opening up the global consumption market for us. Now, considering the track record of Europe, I don't see it will come without frills, but even the you can say easing the restriction that we have right now, obviously there would be some you can say uh, if I can use that word, kind of a quid pro quo, where we have to also open our certain markets or the segments to them, where we will be also purchasing certain specified products or the services or the gamut of things. This can be a win-win for both of us, considering both are consumption-driven economies, mostly. Now, on a larger extent, what we are trying to paint here, will this FTA will lead to India to 2 trillion export target? I think this can be one of the strong building blocks, but at the end of the day, we have to consider that similar type, similar scale, similar dynamic volume, you can say FTAs need to be signed with US as well, because you like it or not, the three big blocks where you can have where you can have uh, exports going in. One is biggest one is US, followed up by Europe, and third is, if China allows, it can be a good consumer as well. I know India has struggled with China, and that's not something new, and everybody has in certain areas, and maybe in all areas. But when it comes to ASEAN, there is some ray of hope that India can achieve some inroads. Canada is another one, which, although we have to mention that miracles will not happen with Canada, it's around taking to 30 or 40 billion dollars of the trade. Nevertheless, that is the target. But Europe is one area where India has to expand, and India has the capability, capacity, and scale to provide it. Yes, there are areas where India needs to focus and make sure things happen, but considering each step at a time, this is the one area which can be very, very important, as well as very, you can say, foundational element in the whole, you can say, structure of the new structure of trade pacts that India is trying to build across the, you can say, globe. I will keep a tap on it. Further updates will happen. I will keep you posted. And thank you for joining in. Your friend Rahul. Thank you for catching in.